Ladies and gentlemen, live from the Lou, here's your host, Charlie Worsham.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Live from the Lou. I believe in working hard, from the Texaco star on my papa's shirt. I believe in the Lord above, 'cause my sweet mama took me to church. I believe in the power of good songs and good dogs, 'cause of my old man. And I believe that life's what happens while we're making other plans. And you make me believe in love. You give me a reason to trust that there's a happy ever after. If it's with you, that's enough. Baby, it's true. You make me believe in love. I believe our better days are up ahead and not behind. I believe we'll have our struggles, but they'll get sweeter with time. I believe everything I give you, you'll take to heart and keep it safe. And I believe the time we spend apart is well worth the wait. You make me believe in love. You give me trust that there's a happy ever after. If it's with you, that's enough. Baby, it's true. You make me believe in love. Oh, pick it, Charlie. I want to hear some Paul Franklin. You make me believe in love. You give me a reason to trust that there's a happy ever after. If it's with you, that's enough. Baby, it's true. You make me believe in love. I believe that raising babies is the most important thing we'll do. When I'm 83 and gray, I'll still be crazy over you. I believe that the story we give this world lives on long after us. And you make me believe in love. Well, hello everybody. Good evening and welcome back to Live from the Lou. I'm so excited to be with you tonight. We have a spectacular show in store for you. One of my old tour mates and one of my best friends in Nashville is our special guest. Of course, I'm talking about the one and only Brandy Clark. The song you just heard is a song I wrote a few years ago with my buddy Jimmy Bell at an old house I used to live in on Lillian Street here in East Nashville. And since we wrote that song, a lot of it's come true. We got a new series for you a little later on, something you haven't seen before, and so many cool surprises in store for tonight's episode. But first, it's time for the Pick of the Week. Pick of the Week. Well, not to toot my own melodica, But this week's pick of the week is the Air Castle Community Hour, hosted by yours truly on 650 AM, WSM, and WSMOnline.com. It broadcasts the first Tuesday of every month from 6 to 7 p.m. Central, and I play all kinds of records, a lot of them ones you wouldn't expect to hear on the Air Castle of the South. It's a hoot, so y'all be sure to tune in. The next episode airs on September 1st. That's the pick of the week. Y'all, I've been so excited for tonight to get here so that I can share with you the conversation I had recently with tonight's special guest. I'm talking about my dear friend Brandy Clark, one of the most talented singers and songwriters that this town has seen in years. Earlier this year, she put out a masterpiece of a record, Your Life is a Record. Every song on it is a gem, and I promise you'll have it on repeat the minute you start listening. She also hosts two of my favorite shows on the internet these days. One is called You Can't Come Over But You Can Come In, where she has conversations with everybody from Reba to Bobby Bones. The other is her book club. Let's get into the conversation, what do you say? Here's my friend, Brandy Clark. Brandy, Your Life is a Record came into the world at the perfect time because we were just talking about this. A couple days later, we all got stuck at home, and it's been months, and I've been listening to more music in quarantine, and Your Life is a Record has gotten quite the number of spins at our house. Such a fan of it. This is your second record you've made with Jay Joyce, and I'm curious, between Big Day in a Small Town and this, what do you feel like was the major difference in those two experiences?
Wow, great question. Both were great experiences, I'll say that. Jay Joyce is a pro. I know you've worked with him some, and just a pro. And after making Big Day in a Small Town with him, I thought, man, I hope I get to work with him again sometime, because he's also, to me, not really a given. You know how sometimes artists and producers get together and they're going to always work together. I don't feel that way about Jay, because I don't feel like he'd do anything he wasn't real moved by, which is good. I mean, I think that's actually better than the other way. I think for me, the biggest change was when I made Big Day in a Small Town. I really wanted to be on country radio, and nobody was pushing me there. Like nobody, and I don't think anybody was saying to Jay, make this record, commercial radio friendly. I just think that of everything I've done, those songs were the most, of everything I'm going to do, the most commercial radio friendly, country commercial radio friendly. And that was a big heartbreak for me, that the Girl Next Door cracked the top 40, but we're all going for that top 10 number one record, trying to find our place in the country radio landscape. And so I let go of that after. And I think it freed me up. And once, like I said, nobody tied my hands but me. I think it freed me up to get to this place, because when Jay and I went in to make Your Life is a Record, we had no agenda other than let's make the most inspired piece of art we can make right now. And so I was open to things like cutting with the Memphis Strings and Horns. I don't know that I would have been open to that before. I let go of a lot, and I let go of a lot when it came to song selection. There were more songs on this album that were first person than any record any of the other two I've done, and that was different for me. There was a different vulnerability in that, and it was kind of all different. I mean, myself as a songwriter, nothing had changed, but the rest of it had.
Yeah, it's crazy that you said that, because I wanted to ask you, it's a breakup record, and it feels like going through a breakup. It's sort of like the friend you don't get to have when you're going through a breakup. This record is. And I was curious if any of that process, there might have been an industry part of the breakup.
I think only another musician, artist, songwriter would get that, because I went through a personal breakup, but it was every bit as much, if not more, my breakup with where I thought my music was going to live.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that was like only another artist would pick up on that, I think.
Well, I've been so enjoying your all your videos that you post. You can't come over, but you can't come in, and you've been talking with everybody. I mean, from Chris Shiflett of the Foo Fighters on his podcast to interviewing Reba and Martina. You mentioned Glennon Doyle, the author. Do you feel like coming out of this that you're ever going to have sort of a side hustle? I mean, like the Late Show with Brandy Clark or the Bigger Boat podcast kind of a thing?
The Bigger Boat podcast, I love that. I think something will happen out of this. When I was, my first major in college was journalism, and I thought I wanted to go into TV journalism, and then music really bit me, and so I didn't do it. But clearly, I must like it if I've been doing all these things. And so I think I'm going to do something out of this. I'm not going to let this just fall away, because it is great. And I think people like these artist to artist conversations and, getting to see something a little different. Then I love it when it's like, I'd love to do a podcast. So, we're like microphone to microphone instead of across the city on the Zoom. Yeah. But yeah, I think I'll do something.
Now, you mentioned a path going down the road to a career in journalism, and legend has it you forfeited a college scholarship when you left Washington State to come to Nashville. Was that a journalism?
Actually, no, it was basketball, so I got a basketball scholarship coming out of high school, went to school. I ended up, it's the only thing I've ever quit. I quit and moved home, honestly, because I was homesick. Now that I have enough years, I'm like, oh, I was really, really mom and dad's girl and not ready to leave. And then I could have played at the college that I transferred to, but that's when music bit me. And the day I told the coach that I wasn't going to play, it wasn't the season yet. It was in the spring. Everybody was open gymming it. And I remember going in and telling him, I'm just taking a space from somebody that really wants this. And I left and I went and bought a guitar. And I never looked back. I really traded one passion for another.
Did you get the guitar at a pawn shop?
No, but that would be another story. I could have lied. It was at the Great American Music Company in Centralia, Washington.
I want to ask you one more question, and we'll leave it be. But in watching all your videos, a lot of times I see you in front of a Beatles painting. And as two buddies who've written together and we've been out on the road together, I can't believe we haven't had more conversations about the Beatles and our mutual love for them. Can you tell me a little bit about what made you fall in love with the Beatles, and what's the fascination for you with their music?
And I wish I could say that was my painting. It's not. The woman whose house I was staying in, her uncle painted that, which is amazing. I don't even think he's a full-time artist. I was late discovering the Beatles. It was when, of course I was always aware of them. It was after I moved to Nashville when they put out that album. I think it was just called Ones.
Yeah.
And I remember I went out and bought the sheet music to learn their stuff. I think what I love most about them is just the musical eccentricity in what they do. Yeah. And it sounds simple, but it's not.
Yeah. Well, Brandy, I'm such a fan of yours, and proud to call you my friend. And not that you need to be working on that new record, because we've got plenty of great music that's still pretty new. But I already can't wait to hear the next thing you cook up.
Well, I'm proud to call you my friend too, and always love talking to you and love making music with you and hearing the music you make. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Brandy. Ladies and gentlemen, here to share a song from her most recent release, Your Life is a Record, Brandy Clark.
Either all the way left or all the way right. The only time we meet in the middle is to fight. The rich get richer, the rest get a little more broke. We're gonna need a bigger boat. There's floods down south, fires out west. You turn on the news, it scares you to death. Give me that hammer, somebody hold my coat. We're gonna need a bigger boat. We spilled wine all over the springing a leak. We're coming apart. We're on the Titanic, but we think it's the Ark. Sharks in the water got me thinking about a movie quote. We're gonna need a bigger boat. Ah, we're gonna need a bigger boat.
Brandy, thank you so much for singing that song. I love Bigger Boat, and I think it's so cool that you recorded that with the great Randy Newman. Y'all be sure to check out Brandy's new album, Your Life is a Record, and don't miss the new animated video for Bigger Boat that's on the internet now. Well, I got another trick up my sleeve for y'all. It's not there. It's not there either. Oh yeah! Some of y'all may be aware that in addition to cooking up songs here in the music room, I've been known to cook up a dish or two in the old kitchen. Which brings me to our new segment, What's Cookin'?
What's cooking? What's cooking?
Hey everybody, welcome to What's Cookin'. I'm so excited for this first edition of our new series. Today we're going to make one of my favorite dishes. It's a staple of Southern cuisine. I'm talking about Southern cornbread. Here's what you'll need. You want to get a whisk, a mixing bowl. It's whiskey business after all. About 2 cups of buttermilk, about 1.5 cups of cornmeal. You'll want about 1/2 cup, 3/4 cup self-rising flour, 2 eggs, about a teaspoon of salt, however much butter this is. You also want to set aside a little extra cornmeal and a little extra butter. We'll talk about that later. Next up, it really comes in handy if you've got a proper cast iron skillet. That's a key to a successful pan of Southern cornbread. All right, everybody, preheat your ovens, 425 degrees. Here we go. While the oven's preheating, you want to go ahead and put your cast iron in the oven so that it's nice and hot the minute we drop the cornbread mix into the skillet. Now, while that's getting warm, let's mix our dry ingredients. First, cornmeal, self-rising flour, and the salt. Now we're in business. Let's take the 2 eggs, drop them in here. And the buttermilk. Oh, I forgot to melt the butter. Let's do that real quick. Now that the butter's melted, go ahead and put it in with the eggs and pour in that buttermilk. Let's whisk it together. That's what I'm talking about. Now let's pour this into our dry ingredients. This used to be one of my favorite things to help in the kitchen with when I was growing up. My mom would make cornbread. She taught me to make cornbread. And I love cornbread batter. Now it's got raw eggs in it, so I don't recommend just eating raw cornbread batter, but I will admit that I ate a little bit of it when I was a kid. Some people put just 1 egg in their cornbread, and that's all right. Some people don't put eggs in their cornbread at all. Some people use regular milk for their cornbread. But the cornbread I grew up on, the real southern kind, uses buttermilk and extra eggs. Now this feels a little bit soupy compared to the cornbread I grew up on, so here's what I'm gonna do. Just gonna get a little extra cornmeal, a little extra self-rising flour. Just play around there, just get that consistency kind of how you want it. Looks good enough for me. Here we go. You know, cooking in the kitchen is kind of science class, and I know a lot of kids out there are homeschooling these days. And it's kind of fun to mess around in the kitchen because it's a form of science experimentation. All right. We're going to roll with this and see how it works, all right? Now, while our cast iron is nice and hot, we're going to take that extra butter and drop it in. Let it get good and melted. I'm going to give you all a close-up here of the cornbread batter. You see sort of the consistency that we're going for. And I'll tell you too, a fun way to like spruce up your cornbread if you're looking for a little adventure. You can shred a little cheddar cheese, maybe slice up some jalapenos, toss them in there. That particular kind of cornbread goes great with a bowl of chili. although my favorite way to eat cornbread is with black-eyed peas. Well, the oven's at 425, so let's grab that cast iron skillet and place it here. As you can see, the butter's already nice and brown, and we're just gonna kind of swirl it around to coat the inside of the cast iron skillet. Here's what that extra cornmeal's for. You wanna sprinkle that onto the surface there, and then pour your cornbread mix on top of it. That's gonna make for a nice, crispy crust. Should have grabbed a spatula. This whisk ain't doing the trick, but that's all right. In the oven we go. Now you want that cornbread to cook for about 20 minutes, and it should be just right. But start checking on it momentarily, say at the 15-minute mark. Stay tuned. All right, it's been about 20 minutes. Let's see how we're doing. Oh yeah, got that sort of golden yellow hue to it. You can see we got a little extra butter on this side. Now what you want to do, set your skillet down, take you like a butter knife, and just scrape along the edge so you make sure the sides of your cornbread aren't sticking to your iron skillet. Because here's the acrobatic part of the show. Whoa, Nelly. Now that's a pan of cornbread. Now as you can see, when I scattered that extra little bit of cornmeal, I didn't spread it quite as much, but you still get that good butter-soaked cornmeal crunchy top in there. Let's cut in and see how our cornbread looks on the inside. Oh yeah, that's what I was raised on, folks. Slap some butter on that, and then look out, because you might slap your grandma. It tastes so good. That's what they say down south. All right, gonna let this cool off, and then we'll do a little taste test. All right, here's the moment of truth. Oh yeah. Y'all, that's how you make Southern cornbread. Thanks for tuning in to What's Cookin'.
What's cooking? What's cooking?
Well, I hope y'all enjoyed that first edition of What's Cookin'. Be sure to let me know if there's a recipe you'd like me to try on a future episode. Just comment below. By the way, how do y'all like my new apron? Around here, I'm known as the Iron Chef. I sure am grateful to y'all for tuning in to Live from the Lou. It gives me a chance to share with you the life I've made here with my beautiful wife, Kristen, in this house. And it makes me think back to after we bought the house, but before we moved in. You see, in that time, we used to sneak over here and break into the house with a measuring tape and a bottle of wine. We'd measure where the furniture might go someday, and then we'd sit on the front porch and dream about our life together here. And it's been really sweet to see that dream come true. I've written some songs about it, and this is one of them. Here's music in this house. The night we moved in, crickets were singing, songs spilling through the open front door. We rang the bell just to hear it ringing, red wine, paper cups, laughing on a hardwood floor, arms sore from swinging that hammer, but you got to let the hammer swing. When you hear that sweet voice holler down the hallway, honey, come help me hang this thing. If you ask me, my favorite melody, it ain't on any record you can buy me. It's a honey, I'm home from a too long gone. Knowing what you're thinking when you put Aretha on. I love the radio, I love a rock show, but it won't kill me if I had to let it all go. Yeah, everything else is noise and sound, but baby, you put the music in this house. When you're talking on the phone, catching up with your sister, or laughing at a late night show, don't you know, babe, I can't resist you. Singing in the shower, waking me up Sunday slow, who knows, but a symphony couldn't keep up with the songs you write. Lucky me, I get to be your front row fan all day and all night. If you ask me, my favorite melody, it ain't on any record you can buy me. It's a honey, I'm home from a too long
what you're thinking when you put Aretha on. I love the radio, I love a rock show, but it won't kill me if I had to let it all go. Yeah, everything else is noise and sound. Oh, but baby, you put the music in this house. Someday we'll hear tiny feet tiptoeing down those Christmas Eve stairs, but that's a tune for a soon-to-be rhyme. You will get there all in good time. And if you ask me my favorite melody, my number one record on repeat, it's Honey, I'm Home from a Too Long Gone. Knowing what you're thinking when you put Aretha on. I love the radio, I love a rock show, but it won't kill me if I had to let it all go. Yeah, everything else is noise and sound. Oh, but baby, you put the music, yeah, you put the music, yeah, you put the music in this house.
Well, that's it for the show tonight. Once again, big thanks to our special guest, Brandy Clark, and I hope you enjoyed the new series, Storytime. I also want to remind y'all to tune in to 6:50 a.m. WSM or WSMonline.com on September 1st for the next installment of the Air Castle Community Hour. It's going to be my birthday that day, so it'll be an extra special episode. Also, I want to let everyone know that we're going to take a break from Live from the Lou in September. But fear not, because I've got some other cool surprises in store for y'all. The biggest thing being, I'm going into the studio to start working on my next record, and I'll be sure to broadcast live from the studio while we're recording so that y'all stay up to date. All right, everybody, have a great evening, and I'll see you soon. Good night.